Okay, this is your first Q&A time writing at 160 words per minute. Your proper names are Danny Fiera and Oz. Ready? How many days a week did you work at that time?
I worked about 6 or 7 days a week back then.
How many weeks before you went into the hospital had you been working up to 7 days a week at Oz?
Oh, I think it was only about 2 or 3 weeks before I went to the hospital.
What I'm trying to find out is, was there something going on that required you to have to work up to 7 days a week?
I was working that much because those were the hours they gave me.
Is there some reason that you had to work so many days a week at that time?
That's just what my schedule was back then.
So that would be 2 days of overtime each week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was there an employee time clock at the club?
Yes.
When you go to work, you would punch in, and when you left, you would punch out. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you paid per hour at Oz, or were you on salary?
I was paid by the hour.
Did you receive overtime pay after 8 hours of work per day?
Yes.
When you went back to work at Oz after you got out of the hospital, did you go back to the same job you were doing before you left?
No.
What was the difference in your job description at the club before the hospital stay and after?
After I went back to work, I mostly stayed behind the desk.
Who was your supervisor at that time?
The owner of the club.
Okay. Can you give me the name of that person, please?
His name is Danny Fiera.
Is there any reason that you know of that your job changed once you went back to work after being discharged from the hospital?
I asked them to give me a job where I didn't have to work or move around so much.
To whom did you make that request?
I asked Danny to see what he could do.
Do you know if Danny Fiera is still working at the club at this time?
I don't know.
How old of a man is Danny Fiera, would you say?
He is around 50 years old.
Once you returned to work at the club after being discharged from the hospital, did you have to take any time off?
Yes.
Do you recall when it was that you first had to take time off when you got back?
It was the same day that I went back.
How long were you there at work that first day back before you had to leave again?
I was there for only about 3 hours.
Why did you have to take time off that day?
I didn't feel well and I needed to go home and rest.
Had you planned to work a part-time day the first day back to work?
Yes.
Did you think at that time that you could work a full day?
I wouldn't have planned to work a half day if I thought I could work a full day.
What I'm trying to do is get you to tell me why you went home. Why had you planned to be there 3 hours that day?
I wanted to go back to work, but I felt that working a full day would be too much for me at first.
Before you went back to work at the club, did you discuss that with anyone there?
Yes.
What did you say to this person, and what did he or she say to you? First of all, who did you speak to?
I don't remember who it was.
Do you remember what you said to them?
I suggested that I come in for just a few hours and give the regular employees a break.
Did anyone ask you why you wanted to do that?
I don't recall.
Did you tell anyone why you wanted to do that?
I don't recall.
When did you next go back to the club to work after that first day?
I believe I went back the day after.
Do you recall working a full day the next day you went back?
I think it was another short day.
How long did you work your second day back?
I think I was there about 4 hours or something like that.
How long did you continue to work at Oz on a part-time basis before you went back to full-time?
I don't remember.
Do you have a best estimate you can give?
No, I don't recall.
Did you ever go back to working a full-time shift at Oz after you got out of the hospital?
Yes.
To your best recollection, was that by the end? Okay, this is your second Q&A time writing at 160 words per minute. Your proper names are Mr. Winters, 711, Mr. Parson, and Mr. Hayden. Ready? Okay, why did you pull the vehicle over?
I stopped the car because it came from behind the 7-Eleven very slowly.
Now, once the car was pulled over to the side of the road, what did you do next?
I got out of my vehicle and I walked over to the car.
All right. What did you say or do next as you approached the car?
I walked up to the car and I said, "Everyone put your hands up where I can see them."
Where was Mr. Winters sitting in the vehicle at that time?
He was sitting in the back seat.
Did he appear to you to be under the influence of any drug or alcohol?
No, he did not.
You didn't notice any symptoms of intoxication at that time? Is that correct?
No, I did not.
Did Mr. Winters appear to you to stagger at all as he got out of the vehicle?
No, he did not.
Did you smell any odor of any kind on his person as he got out of the car?
I did smell the odor of alcohol in the vehicle as he opened the door to the car.
You are sure that it was alcohol that you smelled in the vehicle?
I am not absolutely positive, but I am familiar with the smell of alcohol.
Once Mr. Winters exited the back seat of the car, did you conduct a search of the vehicle?
No, I did not search the vehicle.
Can you tell us why you did not search the vehicle at that point?
I didn't do a search of it because I had already taken someone into custody.
Did you then do a search of any of the 3 passengers who were in the car?
Yes, I patted each of them down.
What, if anything, did you find on the person of Mr. Winters?
The search I did didn't reveal anything on the person of Mr. Winters.
What about the other men in the car? Did you find anything on them when you did your search?
One of them had a gun.
Do you recall the name of the individual who you found the gun on?
Yes, I believe it was Mr. Parson.
Can you tell us where Mr. Parson was seated in the car?
He was on the front passenger side of the car.
Is he the one who tried to throw the gun under the car?
Yes.
What did Mr. Winters do once you told him to step out of the car?
He did everything he was told to do.
So he fully cooperated with you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall if any of the men had money on them?
No, I don't recall.
During the search, did you find a paper bag in the vehicle or on any of the men?
No, I didn't.
At any point, did you find any large bills of money in the pockets of any of the 4 suspects?
No, I didn't.
Can you take a look at this photograph and tell us what that is, please?
That appears to be a picture of the inside of the vehicle.
Do you see what appears to be a bottle on the floor of the front seat of the car?
Yes, I do see that.
Can you tell us what sort of a bottle that appears to be?
It appears to be a wine bottle.
Do you recall a wine bottle being on the floor of the front seat of the car at that time?
I never got up to the front seat of the car, ma'am.
Did you yourself take the time to search the inside of the vehicle?
No, I did not.
At any point, did you take anything out of the car?
No, ma'am, I did not.
So you didn't actually see the bottle of wine on the floor of the car, did you?
No, I didn't.
So you don't know if the bottle of wine had been opened or not, do you?
No, I don't know.
Do you recall if there were any other cars parked in front of the 7-Eleven store at that time?
No, I didn't see any other cars near us.
Was it you who took the other passengers who were in the car to the police station?
I took one of them, yes.
Which one of them did you take to the police station?
I took Mr. Winters.
Do you know who took the other passengers who were in the car to the police station?
Another officer took them in.
Do you recall the name of that other officer?
No, I don't recall.
Did you place them under arrest?
Yes, I did.
And can you please tell us what exactly you placed them? Okay, this is your first Q&A. Oops. Okay, this is your first Q&A time writing at 140 words per minute. Your proper names are 63rd Squad, Lieutenant Mack, Taxi Cab, Detective Johnson, Sandy Moore, 192 Stanley Moore, Henry McNeil, Apartment 13, 7-foot, Pyramid, Raincoat, and Vestibule. Ready? What is your occupation, sir?
I am a detective.
How long have you been a member of the police department of this city?
6.5 years.
Are you assigned to a particular precinct?
Yes, to the 63rd Squad, a special group.
Were you so assigned, detective, on November 27, 1993?
That is correct.
On that night, can you tell me where you were?
I was home.
Did there come a time when you received a call?
Yes, I did.
From whom?
Lieutenant Mack.
About what time was this?
About 11:20.
Who is Lieutenant Mack?
He is the squad commander.
After you spoke to Lieutenant Mack, did you do something?
I did.
What?
I hurried to the scene.
Did you see something?
I saw a youth slumped in the back seat of a taxi cab.
Do you see that youth in court?
Yes, sir. The one wearing a sweater.
What is the color of the sweater?
Black and gray, or is it orange?
The lighting is bad in here. I agree.
Yes,
That would be the defendant at any rate.
that is right.
Go ahead.
As I entered the cab, he attempted to push me away. I said, I am a police officer. Then he said, I've been shot. At that point, I took a razor blade and opened his trouser leg,
Which one?
his right trouser leg. I saw a hole with blood coming out of it from his right leg,
Which portion of the right leg?
just above the knee.
Did you search the cab?
I did.
What did you find?
I found a pair of gloves and a taxi cab coin box.
What did you then do?
I was informed at that time that they had a suspect in the station house, sir.
After you were informed of such, did you leave the vicinity of the scene?
I did.
Alone or with anyone?
I left with Detective Johnson, who was also there.
Where did you go?
We went to the 63rd Squad.
When you came into the 63rd Squad, did you see anybody there?
I did.
Whom did you see?
A male youth, later identified as Sandy Moore.
Do you see him in court this afternoon?
I do.
Can you tell us who he is?
He is the last boy sitting over there.
What is he wearing?
A red and white checked shirt.
When you saw Sandy Moore, did you have a conversation with him?
I did.
What was that conversation?
I first asked him his name. He said Sandy Moore. I asked him his age. He said 14.
14 what?
Years old. I asked him where he lived, and he said 192 Stanley Street. I then asked him about the shooting.
What did he say?
I asked him if he saw who shot the detective, and he said no. I said, you were going to pull a stick up? He said, yes. I asked him if he could give me any further information. He said Henry McNeil was with him.
Was that the sum total of your conversation with the defendant, Sandy Moore, at that time?
Just about.
Was there anything else?
Not to the best of my recollection.
What did you do then?
I left with my brother officers
Where did you go?
to 192 Stanley Street.
When you got to that address, to which portion of the premises did you go?
I went up to apartment 13 and rang the bell. There was no response. I then smashed the door, at which point Henry McNeil appeared and identified himself.
This person who identified himself, do you see him in court this afternoon?
Yes, sir. The second boy with the jacket, the white sash, and the 2 red bars coming down the front.
Did you have a conversation with him?
I did.
What was that conversation?
I asked him where he had been earlier in the evening. He said, playing basketball. I said, weren't you on a train where there was a shooting? He said, no, sir. That it was Sandy and he knew where the gun was.
What time was this?
About 1:15 a.m.
Okay, this is your second Q&A time writing at 140 words per minute. Your proper names are Assistant County Attorney, Tires Unlimited, Springfield, 7-Up, North River, and South River. Ready? I am the Assistant County Attorney, and I am conducting this examination under the supervision and instructions of the coroner. I am about to ask you some questions. I want to tell you that under the laws of this state, you have a perfect legal right to refuse to answer any question that I may ask, and you have a right not to offer any information that might tend to incriminate you. A person has the right to refuse to give any information that might tend to prove you guilty of a crime. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now that I have explained to you, do you wish to testify?
Yes,
Do you waive your constitutional privilege?
I do.
How old are you at the present time?
28.
Are you a married man?
I am.
Do you have any children?
Yes, 3.
What kind of work do you do?
I am a salesman. Sell tires for Tires Unlimited.
Where is the main office?
Right here, this city.
Do you work on the road that is over a territory?
Right.
On the day of June 6, were you driving a car?
I was.
Where were you driving to? What was your destination?
To Springfield.
Were you traveling on business?
Well, no. I was traveling through to start work Tuesday. I was to be in Springfield Tuesday. I was to work the jobbers and the stores there the next day.
Were you driving by yourself?
I was.
There was no one in the car with you.
No.
Where did you cut off the main highway?
I don't know if there is a village there or not. I haven't been in this district very long, and I am not too sure about different locations.
When did you leave for this trip?
I had breakfast and picked up my car at the garage.
Did you have anything to drink that morning before leaving on this trip?
No.
You picked your car up at what time?
I was there about 9 o'clock.
On the entire trip, from the time you left until the time of the accident, were you alone?
That is right.
Did you stop any place after you left the city limits?
Yes. My engine was a little warm, and I stopped to take on some water. While the man was putting the water in, I had a bottle of 7-Up and a bag of potato chips.
Where was this?
I don't know. Just a little station out of town a few miles.
Did you have anything to drink anywhere along the way?
No.
Not even a bottle of beer?
After or before?
Did you have any after that then?
Yes, I did. I had one bottle of beer between North River and South River.
Did you have more than one bottle?
No,
Did you stop for lunch anywhere?
no,
You had no lunch up to the time of the accident?
right,
As you were riding along, did you have any difficulty in driving?
no,
Were you sleepy at all?
no,
How long have you been driving a car?
for 10 years.
Hadn't you planned on having lunch?
Yes, but the accident took place before I came to a good place to eat.
Will you tell us what the traffic was like after you got out on the road?
There was quite some traffic on the road, fairly heavy.
Both ways?
Yes,
How fast were you driving?
around 60 in there.
Did you pass a number of automobiles?
I passed some and several passed me. I don't know how many.
Can you remember anything that might have interfered with your driving?
No, I can't.
Could you have fallen asleep?
No,
And you say you were not under the influence of liquor of any kind?
no.
Do you remember where this accident happened?
Well, just this side of the river. I am not too familiar with the route. This is the first time I had ever been over this particular road.
Do you know if the accident took place on a curve of the road or was it on a straight stretch?
A little curve, a very gradual curve, but it was definitely yes.